Yes, yes,
Yes,
yes.
yes.
Yeah. Imitate a spiritual master. I should start from here.
Yeah, yeah. This is where we left yesterday.
Okay. One of the most universal spiritual practices is the imitation of spiritual master as a way to gain understanding and discipline. Christians, for example, study Thomas a Kempier's imitation of Christ and ask, what would Jesus do in the secular world? I believe people often read biographies for spiritual reasons. They want to study and learn from the example of great lives, whether those of Winston Churchill, Abraham Lincoln, Oprah Winfrey, or Warren Buffett. That decide had certainly that one of the reasons why I would want to write why I would wanted to write biographies myself. Now I decided to study and imitate a new spiritual master. But whom? I asked blog readers what spiritual masters they followed. I greatly admire and have learned a lot from two Zen teachers, although that's not a tradition I practice. Norman Fisher is a person of wisdom, patience, and common sense. My favorite Jewish Zen grandmother, not mine, a woman of great wisdom, eloquence, and candor, is Sylvia Bostein. And lastly, from my own tradition, Rabbi Charles Clough. Vincent van Gogh, I know, how could someone whose legacy involves cutting off his ear be a spiritual mentor? Well, first of all, he didn't really cut off his ear. It went up. Hmm,
Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry.
Okay. Well, first of all, he didn't really cut off his ear. All you have to do is read his collected letters, Dear Theo, to see how spiritual Van Gogh was, and also to gain inspiration from the life, thoughts, ideas, philosophies, and perseverance of this incredibly talented man, both in the art of painting and also in the art of transcendence, self empowerment, and self belief. Charles Darwin fantastically decided to finding out why the natural world looked the way it does. He didn't teach, he showed. His insights were down to long, deep thoughts and lots of hard work. There are several very good biographies that tell of his unex, sorry, that tell of his unexceptional childhood, his voyage on the Beagle, and how he deliberately chose to earn scientific respectability before he published his world-shaking ideas, backed by huge amounts of examples. It turns out that he was a fairly nice gentleman too. Anyone that looks that clearly at the world merits profound respect. Anne Lamott, because she's so honest, and Rabbi Wayne Dosick, even though I am not Jewish. Two that come to mind. Dr. Andrew Weil, an integrative medicine practitioner and author of many books on the subject. He discusses how people can feel better mentally, physically, and spiritually, and his advice always resonates with me. Another is Natalie Goldberg, author of the popular writing book Writing Down the Bones. It's a Zen approach to writing, but as she points out, her advice can really apply to many things. To me, what's central to her ideas is self forgiveness. Actually, I would name the natural world as a spiritual teacher. I don't like the term master. Western culture assumes that only a human can teach spirituality, but in indigenous worldview, any creature, any natural element can be a teacher. We can learn a lot if we learn to listen to and observe the natural world. Viktor Frankl. Can anyone want to read? Hi team, anyone want to read?
Yeah, yeah. Suman, are you ready to read now?
Yes,
Okay,
yes, 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 I must have. Just give me a second.
okay.
Please start from Viktor Frankl.
Yeah. Uh, are we recording the session?
Yes, we are, Deepa.
Yes, Viktor Frankl. I am not sure I have found a spiritual master, though the poetry and passion of Saint Paul have captivated me. My husband finds inspiration in the life of George Orwell. The Dalai Lama, just seeing a photo of him makes me happy. I never considered imitating him, though food for thought. I have picked one and plan to learn more about his fascinating life. He is none other than one of our founding fathers, Ben Franklin. I just read the Wikipedia on him and it states a noted polymath. Franklin was a leading author and printer, satirist, political theorist, politician, scientist, inventor, civic activist, statesman, and diplomat. I do remember reading that he did all these things, but to this day, I still can't figure out how. I have to do more research here. Lama Norla Rinpoche, uh, that is kagyu.com, if you are curious to know about him, Tibetan Buddhist like the Dalai Lama. He has been my meditation teacher for over 25 years. The way he teaches is, in a way, the opposite of emulation, though he is very inspiring himself. Funny, I first wrote that as inspiriting. It is more like he's trying to free me to be myself in a deep down positive way. I know this is weird, but I am going with Dan Savage, the sex advice columnist. He is not so much a spiritual master as an ethical one. And yes, he has a self admitted potty mouth, but he also advocates honesty, love, and respect. And he is just so quotable. That is, it is relationship, not a deposition. As you always say, we don't choose what we like to do, only what we do. And I might not have chosen to elevate Dan to that level, but it is how I genuinely feel about him. Henry David Thoreau sprang immediately to mind, also nature. This quote from Bernard says it well. You will find something more in woods than in books. The quote I am repeating, you will find something more in woods than in books. Trees and stones will teach you that which you can never learn from masters. Perhaps I should research Saint Bernard. Herman Hesse, while I never thought about him as a spiritual guide, I suppose he is, as I have a collection of all his books, memoirs, and poetry. A quote from him I think you would find interesting is: happiness is a how, not a what, a talent, not an object. Happiness is a how, not a what, a talent, not an object. Mother Teresa and Gloria Steinem. At Saint Francis of Assisi has taught me so much about accepting things that might appear as my enemy. Instead of hating, I can reframe a situation. For example, instead of hating mosquitoes, I remind myself how they feed the birds and they too have a purpose. I still dislike them, but I don't hate them like I used to. I love many things about Saint Francis and try to emulate him. I work with people who, among other things, are seeking happiness. However, rather than encouraging them to model themselves on someone, a spiritual someone, I ask them to consider several persons of their own gender whom they admire. It could be a figure from history, literature, the cinema, or someone they personally know, a figure from politics, a mentor, a family member, a celebrity. It really makes no difference who it is, as long as these two or three persons are individuals that they admire. Once they have named those people, I ask them to identify specifically those characteristics that they admire, not their looks, please. Then I tell them this, very Jungian but very useful to know. Whatever it is that they admire in these individuals, and generally the characteristics tend to coincide for all the people they have mentioned, is something that is nascent in themselves, but that they have not yet brought into being. That the fact that it is still in the nascent and unrecognized stage in themselves is the real reason why they admire it in the others. Once they have begun to bring these characteristics forth in themselves, they will begin to admire something different in others in order to continue the cycle of growth into inner freedom and happiness. Knowing what you admire in others is a wonderful mirror into your deepest, as yet unborn self. Scroll up, please. These suggestions were intriguing, and I was reading stacks of books about various figures, but I did not feel a particular affinity for anyone until I came across Saint Therese of Lisieux. I had become interested in Saint Therese after I saw her praised in Thomas Merton's memoir, The Seven-Story Mountain. I had been so surprised to see the cranky, monkish Merton write reverently about the sapily named Little Flower that I was curious to read her spiritual memoir, Story of a Soul. That book fascinated me so much that without quite realizing it, I developed a mini obsession with Saint Therese. I bought one book about her and then another and then another. I reread Story of a Soul several times. One day, as he saw me trying to cram my latest Saint Therese biography onto the shelf between the hidden face of Saint Therese and two portraits of Saint Therese, Jamie asked with a note of disbelief in his voice, "How many books about Saint Therese are you going to buy?" There are few topics that would interest Jamie less than the life of a Catholic saint. I looked with surprise at the shelf and counted the biographies, histories, and analyses of Saint Therese. I had bought 17, and I would read every single one. I also had a videotape and a used book that was nothing but Saint Therese photographs for which I had paid $75. Indulge in a modest splurge. Light dawned. I had a spiritual master. Saint Therese was my spiritual master. But why was I attracted to this Catholic saint, a French woman who had died at the age of 74 after having spent 9 years cloistered with some 20 nuns? Saint Therese, the little flower known for her little way. Saint Therese, the little flower known for her little way. After I thought about it for 5 seconds, it became perfectly obvious. I had started my happiness project to test my hypothesis that I could become happier by making small changes in my ordinary day. I did not want, scroll up, to reject the natural order of my life by moving to Walden Pond or Antarctica, say, or taking a sabbatical from my husband. I was not going to give up toilet paper or shopping or experiment with hallucinogens. I had already switched careers. Surely I had hoped I could change my life without changing my life by finding more happiness in my own kitchen. Everyone's happiness project is different. Some people might feel the urge to make a radical transformation. I was vicariously exhilarated by these dramatic adventures, but I knew they were not the path to happiness for me. I wanted to take little steps to be happier as I lived my ordinary life, and that was very much in the spirit of Saint Therese. Therese Martin was born in Alencon, France in 1873. Before her parents' marriage, her father had tried to become a monk and her mother a nun, but both had been rejected by religious orders. Her 5 sisters, who survived childhood, all became nuns, and Therese became a saint. Therese tried to enter a Carmelite convent at Lisieux at age 15. Two of her sisters were already there, but the bishop would not permit it because she was too young. She traveled to Rome to ask Pope Leo XIII's permission personally, but the Pope stood by the bishop's decision. Then the bishop changed his mind. When Therese was in the convent, her mother was her older sister Pauline. Who instructed Therese to write the story of her childhood, which became the basis of Story of a Soul. In 1897, at the age of 24, Therese died an agonizing death from tuberculosis. While she lived, no one outside her family and convent had heard of Therese. After she died, an edited version of her memoir was sent to Carmelite convents and church officials as an obituary notice. Just 2,000 copies were printed initially, but the popularity of this springtime story of a little white flower, as she had characteristically titled it, spread with astonishing rapidity. Just 2 years after her death, her grave had to be placed under guard to protect it from pilgrims seeking relics. It is hard to understand how such a short, modest account of childhood and youth could have such spiritual power. Yet, of course, I feel it myself. Accordingly, in a suspension of the ordinary requirements, Therese got a fast track canonization in 1925 and became Saint Therese just 28 years after her death. To mark the centenary of her death in 1997, Pope John Paul II made her a Doctor of the Church, the elite category of 33 super saints that includes Saint Augustine and Saint Thomas Aquinas. To me, the fascinating aspect of her story was Therese's achievements of sainthood through the perfection of small, ordinary acts. That was her little way. Holiness achieved in a little way by little souls rather than by great deeds performed by great souls. Love proved itself by deeds. So, how am I to show my love? Great deeds are forbidden me. The only way I can prove my love is by every little sacrifice, every glance and word, and the doing of the least actions for love. There was nothing outwardly striking about Therese's life or her death. She lived an obscure existence, much of it without stepping foot outside her convent, and though she was born just 1 year before Churchill, while she was dying in the convent infirmary, he was fighting as a part of the Malkan Field Force in British India. She seems like a figure from the distant, quaint past. Therese did not overcome a dysfunctional family or monumental difficulties. She had loving parents and a tender, indulgent upbringing in prosperous circumstances. Although Therese confided in Story of a Soul that I want to be a warrior, a priest, an apostle, a doctor of the church, or martyr. I should like to die on the battlefields in defense of the church. She did not perform outstanding feats or undertake daring adventures. Indeed, except her trip to petition the Pope, she stayed in her neighborhood and with her immediate family for her whole life. She wanted to suffer and to spill her blood for Jesus, and she did, but in a little way, not in a glorious confrontation in war or at the stake, but by dying in agony, spitting up blood as a pitiful tuberculosis victim. As Pope Pius XI emphasized in the Bull of Canonization, Therese achieved heroic virtue without going beyond the common order of things. Reading about Therese taught me a lot about bulls of canonization and all the mechanics of saint making. I could not aspire to Therese's saintliness, but I could follow her by aspiring to perfection within the common order of my day. We expect heroic virtue to look flashy, moving to Uganda to work with AIDS victims, perhaps, or documenting the plight of homeless people in Detroit. Therese's example shows that ordinary life too is full of opportunities for worthy, if inconspicuous, virtue. One of my favorite examples, Therese intensely disliked one of her fellow nuns, Teresa of St. Augustine, whom Therese described, without identifying her as a sister who has the faculty of displeasing me in everything, in her ways, her words, her character. Instead of avoiding her, Therese sought out this nun at every turn and treated her as if I loved her. Yeah, scroll up, please. Best of all, so successfully that this sister once asked Therese, would you tell me what attracts you so much toward me? Every time you look at me, I see your smile. After Therese's death, when the disagreeable nun gave her testimony during the process of Therese's beautification, she said smugly, at least I can say this much for myself. During her life, I made I made her really happy. Teresa of St. Augustine never knew that she was the unlikable sister mentioned in the story of a soul until 30 years later, when the chaplain, in a fit of exasperation, told her the truth. It is a little thing, of course, but anyone who has ever suffered from a whiny co-worker, a narcissistic roommate, or interfering in-laws can appreciate the heavenly virtue that befriending such a person would require. Because of my happiness research, one of the passages in Story of a Soul that most struck me was Therese's observation that for the love of God and my sisters, so charitable toward me, I take care to appear happy and especially to be so. Therese succeeded so well at seeming effortlessly happy, and her laughter came so easily that many of her fellow nuns didn't recognize her virtue. One sister said, Sister Therese gets no merit for practicing virtue. She has never had to struggle for it. Near the end of Therese's life, another sister observed that Therese made visitors to the infirmary laugh so much that I believe she will die laughing. She is so happy at a time when Therese was in both secret spiritual torment and excruciating physical pain. Buddhists talk about skillful and unskillful emotions, and this has the right connotation of effort and competence. People assume that a person who acts happy must feel happy, but although it is in the very nature of happiness to seem effortless and spontaneous, it often takes great skill. I set out to imitate Therese by doing a better job of acting happy when I knew what my happiness would make someone else happy. I did not want to be fake, but I could make an effort to be less critical. I could look for ways to be honestly enthusiastic about foods that were not necessarily my favorite things to eat, activities that were not my first choice, or movies, books, and performances with which I could find fault. Usually, I could find something to praise. Also, I saw that I needed to make a bigger show of my happiness. For example, when my Kennedy biography came out, various family member various family members asked questions that, in retrospect, I realize were meant to elicit responses from me, such as, I am so thrilled. It is so exciting to see it on the shelves. Everything is going great. I am so happy. But I have a perfectionist, dissatisfied, fretful, worrying nature, and I am not easily thrilled. Looking back, I realize that the loving thing to do would have been to act happy not only for myself but also for them. I know how happy I am when one of them is very happy. How happy I was to hear Aliza say excitedly to my mother as they were setting up an elaborate tea party, Bunny, this is so fun. And to hear my mother say, yes, it is. As often happened with the Happiness Project, it was only once I vowed to stop criticizing and carping that I realized the strength of my instinct to criticize and carp. But for the love of my family and friends, so loving toward me, I tried to appear happy and especially to be so. A worthy model closer to home than Therese was my father, nicknamed Smilin Jack Kraft by my sister's friends. One of his most lovable trait is that he is, or I should say, he acts unflaggingly cheerful and enthusiastic. And this makes a tremendous difference to everyone else's happiness. One day, not too long ago, when we were visiting Kansas City, my father came home from work and my mother told him, "We are having pizza for dinner." My father answered, "Wonderful, wonderful. Do you want me to go pick it up?" I knew my father well enough to know that he would answer that way even if he did not want pizza for dinner. And even if the last thing he felt like doing was heading back out the door. This kind of unswerving enthusiasm looks easy, but when I tried to adopt that attitude myself, I realized how difficult it is. It is easy to be heavy, hard to be light, acting happy, and even more, being happy is challenging. Furthermore, and it took me a long time to accept the perverse fact. Many people don't want to be happy, or at least don't want to seem happy. And if they act as if they are not happy, they are not going to feel happy. I am not including depressed people in this category. Depression is a serious condition outside the happy or unhappy continuum. Whether in response to a particular situation, such as a job loss or the death of a spouse, or an imbalance of chemicals in the brain, or some other cause, depression is its own beast. But many non depressed people are unhappy, and some seem to want to be that way. Why? It turns out there are a lot of reasons. Happiness, some people think, is not a worthy goal. It is trivial. American preoccupation, the product of too much money and scroll up please, too much television. They think that being happy shows a lack of values and that being unhappy is a sign of depth. At a party, a guy said to me, "Everyone is too worried about being fulfilled. They are so self indulgent." It is there in the Declaration of Independence, and people think they should be happy. Happiness is not the point. Well, I said, now that our country has achieved a certain standard of prosperity, people set their goals on higher things. Isn't it admirable that people want to be happy? If happiness is not the point, what is? Working for goals like social justice, peace, or the environment is more important than happiness. But I ventured, you think it is important to help other people, to work for the benefit of others? And of course it is, but why? Why worry about children living in poverty or malaria in Africa unless at bottom it is because you want people to be healthy, safe, and prosperous, and therefore happy? If their happiness matters, doesn't yours? Anyway, I added, studies show that happier people are more likely to help other people. They are more interested in social problems. They do more volunteer work and contribute more to charity. Plus, as you would expect, they are less preoccupied with their personal problems. So, being happy actually makes you more likely to work for the environment or whatsoever. He laughed derisively, and I decided that the proper happiness project response was to change the subject rather than get in an argument. Nevertheless, he had raised the most serious criticism of happiness. It is not right to be happy when there is so much suffering in the world. Refusing to be happy because someone else is unhappy, though, is a bit like cleaning your plate because babies are starving in India. Your unhappiness is not making anyone else happier. In fact, quite the opposite, given the fact that happier people are more likely to act altruistically. That is the circle of the second splendid truth. One of the best ways to make yourself happy is to make other people happy. One of the best ways to make other people happy is to be happy yourself. I will repeat. One of the one of the best ways to make yourself happy is to make other people happy, and one of the best ways to make other people happy is to be happy yourself. Some people associate happiness with a lack of intellectual rigor, like the man who said to Samuel Johnson, "You are a philosopher, Dr. Johnson. I have tried too in my time to be a philosopher, but I don't know how." Cheerfulness was always breaking in. Creativity, authenticity, or discernment, some folks argue, is incompatible with the bourgeois complacency of happiness. But although somber, pessimistic people might seem smarter, research shows that happiness and intelligence are essentially unrelated. Of course, it is a cooler not to be too happy. There is a goofiness to happiness, an innocence, a readiness to be pleased. Jest and enthusiasm take energy, humility, and engagement. Taking refuge in irony, exercising destructive criticism, or assuming an air of philosophical ennui is less taxing. Also, irony and world weariness uh, allow people a level of detachment from their choices. Fast food, a country club membership, a gas guzzling SUV, reality TV. I met someone who could not stop talking about the stupidity of celebrities and people who read celebrity gossip. But her disdainful remarks revealed that she herself followed it very closely. I had to bite my tongue not to quote Samuel Johnson's observation of Alexander Pope. Pope's scorn of the great is too often repeated to be real. No man thinks much of that which he despises. Ironic commentary was her strategy, both to embrace and to disavow celebrity gossip. Anybody else want to read?
1 second. Let me.
I will continue if, yeah.
Just 4 more pages are there.
Okay,
So,
I will go ahead. Yeah.
yeah, 1 second. I lost the page where we were reading.
Oh,
Uh, Suman, just tell me where we were.
yeah.
Other people cultivate, right?
Yes. Yeah, from here. Other people cultivate unhappiness as a way to control others. They cling to unhappiness because without it, they would forego the special consideration that unhappiness secures the claim to pity and attention. I know I have pled unhappiness to get points for something. For example, if Jamie asks me to go to a business dinner with him and I honestly tell him I don't want to go, I really don't want to go, but I will if you want me to. I feel as if I get more gold stars from him for going than if I fibbed. I am happy to go. I am really looking forward to it. If I did not complain, if I did not express my unhappiness, Jamie might take my compliance for granted. Some people exploit unhappiness for decades. My mother always made a big point that she had sacrificed completing her PhD program to stay home with me and my brother. A friend told me she was frustrated and angry, and she brought it up all the time. She used her unhappiness to control us and my father. We all felt guilty. The belief that unhappiness is selfless and happiness is selfish is misguided. It is more selfless to act happy. It takes energy, generosity, and discipline to be unfailingly light-hearted. Yet everyone takes the happy person for granted. No one is careful of his feelings or tries to keep his or trying to keep his spirits high. He seems self sufficient. He becomes a cushion for others. And because happiness seems unforced, that person usually gets no credit. Therese didn't get credit, even from her fellow nuns, for her tremendous efforts. Because she seemed so happy, they assumed that her behavior was effortless. I know a fortunate few people, such as my father, who seem naturally sunny tempered. Now I wonder how effortless this really is. There is yet another group of people who have a superstitious dread of admitting to happiness for fear of tempting fate. Apparently, this is practically a universal human instinct and seen in nearly all cultures. The dread of invoking cosmic anger by calling attention to good fortune. This feeling haunted me as I worked on my happiness project. By directing attention at my happiness, was I somehow putting it at risk? There is the related superstition that if you anticipate trouble and tragedy, you will somehow forestall it. Fear and worry can be useful because thinking about unpleasant consequences can prompt prudent actions, such as wearing a seat belt or exercising. But for many people, fear of what might happen is a source of great unhappiness. Yet they feel there is a propitiatory virtue in fretting. For example, on some level, I feel guilty about not worrying more about Jamie's hepatitis C. I keep track of every piece of information we get. I go to many of Jamie's appointments. I have learned a lot about hepatitis C. But when it is not an active issue in our lives, I don't think much about it. And sometimes my detachment seems irresponsible. Should not I be more concerned? But my worry won't change the reality of Jamie's liver. Whipping myself up into a frenzy of fear, however, would make both Jamie and me unhappy. On the other hand, some believe that if you allow yourself to be unhappy, terrible things will happen, most likely cancer. This kind of thinking is not new. During the Great Plague of London in 1665, for example, people believed that staying cheerful would ward off infection. Last, some people are unhappy because they won't take the trouble to be happy. Happiness takes energy and discipline. It is easy to be heavy, etc. People who are stuck in an unhappy state are pitiable. Surely they feel trapped with no sense of having a choice in how they feel. Although their unhappiness is a drag on those around them, emotional contagion, unfortunately, operates more powerfully for negative emotions than for positive emotions. They suffer too.
Yeah. Suman, I think just one,
Yeah.
two,
Hmm?
just two more pages.
Yeah, yeah.
If you want, you can just finish it or
Yeah, yeah. Sure, sure. Little bit down.
yeah, yeah.
Yes.
I can read if
He,
you want.
Yeah.
yes, you. Yes, Manishti. Go ahead, please.
Which line? Philosophers, scientists, right?
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay. Philosophers, scientists, saints, and charlatans all give instruction on how to be happy, but this does not matter to a person who does not want to be happy. If you don't believe you are happy, you are not. As Publicius Cyrus observed, no man is happy who does not think himself so. If you think you are happy, you are. That is why Cyrus said, I take care to appear happy and especially to be so. One of the key underlying purposes of this month's resolution and my entire happiness to be able to bear up courageously when the phone rang with bad news, as inevitably it would. Well, bad news did come right at the end of the month. My mother called. Have you talked to Elizabeth? She asked. No, not for about a week. I answered. What's up? Well, she has diabetes. Diabetes? Yes, type 2. They think, but they are not sure. It is lucky they diagnosed her when they did. Her blood sugar level was dangerously high. How did she figure it out? What happens now? Why did she get it? Every random thing I knew about diabetes began jipping through my mind. The responsiveness of type 2 to changes in diet and behavior, the tensions that had arisen in the diabetes community between advocates for type 1 and type 2 over allocation of research money, memories from 6th grade when I watched my friend injecting herself in her stomach with insulin. My mother told me what she knew. Then I called my sister to hear her tell the story over again. Over the next several weeks, the news kept changing. At first, the doctors thought Elizabeth had type 2, even though she does not fit the usual profile. She is young, thin, fit. That diagnosis was a blow. But two things cushioned it. First, she had been falling lousy, and getting her blood sugar under control made her feel much better. Also, we were relieved that she did not have type 1, which requires daily insulin and can't be alleviated by diet and exercise. Well, it turned out she did have type 1. When people are facing serious setbacks, biological mechanism kicks in to help them see positive aspects in the situation. And I could feel myself starting to search for opportunities for post-traumatic growth. With various resolutions ringing in my ears, I try to keep perspective and feel gratitude. It is so lucky they caught it when they did. I told Elizabeth, you will be eating well and exercising regularly. You will get this under control. You will get used to it and you will do great. Elizabeth deployed the downward comparison strategy. Yes, she did. And think about all the other things it could have been. The diagnosis could have been so much worse. Diabetes really is manageable. What she did not say, and I did not say, was that sure, it could have been a lot worse. But it also could have been nothing at all. After college, my roommate was in a bad car accident, and I flew out to Hawaii to see her. She was wearing a halo brace with bolts drilled into her skull. Do you feel lucky to be alive? I asked. Well, actually, she said, I feel like I really wish I had not been in a damn car crash. It is not easy to say if I was just born, but I think that my resolutions did help me cope with this news. What if I had been the one diagnosed with diabetes? I think they would have helped even more. A common 18th century epitaph reads, remember, friends, as you pass by, as you are now, so once I was, as I am now, so you must be. Prepare yourself to follow me. A true happiness project's sentiment. Now I kept reminding myself, is the time to keep my resolutions because the telephone is going to ring again. Yep. We're done for today.
Yeah. So if anyone wants to share anything about the reading today, please go
Yeah.
ahead.
Yeah, I
Uh,
want to share. See, the thing is,
oh,
when you are setting resolutions, right? When you are setting the resolutions, basically we are keeping a control on our thoughts, feelings, and actions. Because you know, otherwise, what happens is, the same thing. Uh, when we are setting a resolutions, we are setting it through our consciousness, through the feelings of heart, through the feelings of responsibility, accountability, and then we have to work by our resolutions. Because thinking every day what to do, what not to do is a very mind-boggling thing, and that is not awareness. So just setting our resolutions, our intentions, writing them down, and doing journaling as the author stated today. So then what happens is you don't have to think every day what you need to do. You have to just follow your resolutions, your list of things to be done on a day-to-day basis, and you are keeping your mind free from unwanted uh, energy draining and things like that. So I think resolutions keep a good control of your thoughts and feeling and actions, and because that's what drive your reality of life. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Manish ji.
Deepaji, I would like to talk about, as the author
Would anyone
mentioned.
else like to share?
Yeah, Deepaji, am I audible?
Yeah, yeah, perfectly.
Yeah, yeah. So I would like to talk about my experience from my life about, as the author says, one should stay happy, irrespective of whether you are holding, even if you don't like a person, okay, still you should actually push yourself and stay happy for yourself. Okay, so I would like to say, like, I am a very happy go person. Okay, I always feel, okay, just let it go, just let it go. Okay, but over the time, I have realized that, okay, people used to take advantage of me. Ki, okay, whatever you say, she's fine. Okay, and they, started taking me for granted. Normally, friends, even in office, and a lot of times. That is when I realized that, you should stay happy, but there is a line that needs to be drawn, that people should know that they cannot, just take any undue advantage of you. So actually, I was getting a lot of frustrated with, when people were taking me for granted and all. And as I set in certain boundaries for myself, I actually felt much happier. So, madam, I was actually seeing, like, I was just reading through when we were just reading through. The author says you stay happy, okay, and even if you don't like the person, still you don't show it. So I think that is a very difficult exercise to do. So how do we train ourselves better?
Yeah, would anyone like to answer? Shruti's query.
Yeah, I can answer that. See, what happens is, when we like, let's say somebody, we're not liking the person the way we expect it to be, but when if we feel bad and things like that, sometimes it can affect the relationship because sometimes we never know what the other person is going through. So the best way is to have a very detailed and open communication, right? And like, uh, whatever we talk, whatever we do, and how we show our emotions of face, that shows our confidence, our courageousness. And it is a, and the courage is a very ripple effect thing, because sometimes when you are in a difficult situation, but you are sitting with people who are very courageous and very committed to helping you and guiding you through your difficult part of life and anything like that, maybe in a project or whatever. So I think it creates a very, you know it's all about your thoughts, words. They are like a source of energy, and every thought is a frequency. So it's just like, the higher your positive thoughts are, your courageousness, so they give you a higher frequency. And that higher frequency is something that you desire, because that is what you need to take action and bring the results that you need to have. So staying committed in difficult situations, and that's how we learn from our consciousness level. Like, we should not be affected by, like, too much. I know it hurts. It is very difficult to be 100% perfect all the time, right? But it is okay. But staying very committed, very courageous, it makes a big difference. Yeah. So,
But
uh,
sorry, I have a matlab, question to that. So, like, I do practice my Kathak, okay? So, in our Kathak dance, they say, what is your thought? It comes, the other person, when you are doing dance, it comes on your face, okay? And because normally, even if we try to hide, okay, for my case, I always see that if I'm thinking something, the other person will know that I don't like them. If I'm holding something, it comes on my face. So how to manage those kind of things and those kind of emotions?
yeah. So
Yeah.
the point is,
Okay.
the thing is, you have to be, basically, you have to face the situation and just put your words in such a very, you can say, in a very compassionate and very, in a very clear manner, that hey, this is how we need to do, and let us try this way also. So I think compassion and your commitment to anything, I think that makes a big difference. Yeah, because this is how you keep
Yeah.
your energy level
So,
high. Yeah.
Shruti, what you're saying is when you're upset or angry with someone, but you don't want it to show on your face. You
And
want
Deepaji,
to,
my always biggest struggle is, I'm just sharing with you, ki, okay, I won't speak to the person in a bad way. Okay, I'll take some time, hold back myself, but it actually comes on my face that I don't like you.
Hmm. So
So
you don't
like,
want that to happen.
हाँ मतलब it's not good ना, because हो
Yeah.
सकता है
Yeah.
that person is not wrong that day and that person is just having a bad day, and maybe the
Yes.
circumstances, like, let's say I foresee something happens in office. Maybe that person has had a very bad day, bad morning with his wife or kids, or there has been some kind of struggle before coming to the office. Okay, because I don't know the background. We all of us are going through something or the other. So then how to manage those things in a better way? Because
I think
lot of
Yeah.
times
Shruti,
I
you
come
have
as very
answered
rude
your
to people.
question.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
in this chapter the
Please go
same
ahead.
thing was highlighted also very much, that it is very hard and heavy to be happy, especially for others. Like the father, he did not like the pizza, but how he reacted, it's wonderful, it's wonderful, I want it. That way he reacted. So the and two lines were highlighted that sometimes happiness is when you are concerned about others and about your surroundings, and it is very difficult to be happy that way. One of the best ways to make yourself happy is to make others people happy, and one of the best ways to make other people happy is to be happy yourself, though it is very hard and heavy.
Very well said, Suman. Thank you.
Yeah,
Shall I
and
just give my
thank
input
you.
on this, Shruti,
Yeah,
what she asked?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
So she doesn't want to express her displeasure, anger, or being hurt by someone because that person would have reacted in that way, responded, or done something in a hurtful way because of some other condition. The trigger might have been their home affairs or something else unconnected with Shruti. but they vented it out on Shruti, and Shruti obviously would feel upset by the way that person has behaved, right? So the way you explained it, Shruti, I think the answer for that lies there. So whenever we get upset with someone, it is to pause. We have to pause, take a pause, count to maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, so that we pause on our reaction to that feeling, that emotion of which drains away our energy. We feel upset, so we have to take a pause there before we vent it out, before it comes to, let it come on our face. Don't do something which doesn't happen to you naturally. Let that emotion, as you said, you're a Kathak dancer, so the emotions will be coming on your face. So don't do anything unnatural, let it come, but at the same time, pause and think from that person's perspective. What makes that person say this? What made that person do this and behave in this way? So the minute you pause, what you said, no, it might not have anything to do with you, but that pain body he's carrying from somewhere else. He or she is carrying from somewhere else, and it came out to you. So you're not the trigger, you're not the reason, because you're a very easygoing person. It was easy for that person to let out something which was not very pleasant. So when we pause, we develop a sort of a shell around us, I feel, wherein their pain body, their bad experience, whatever, doesn't envelop us, doesn't hit us in a negative way, doesn't cause us pain. So it is very difficult. It is easy for me to say, but very difficult to practice. So we have to pause when there is something negative going around, when someone does something which can trigger a negative emotion, which drains away our positivity and our happiness and joy. We take a pause and we try to see from that person's perspective. The minute we do that, we understand it, the situation in a better way, and whatever emotion which was radiating out of your face, which you didn't want, maybe it will change in a flash. That upset or hurt feeling might become a Madonna smile. So maybe you can try that, Shruti.
Sure, Deepaji, I'll
Maybe
give
I've
it
been
a
very
try.
elaborate, but maybe you can try. If it works, let us do that way. If it doesn't, we'll come up with a different strategy. What do you say?
Yeah, yeah,
So,
definitely. But you know, Deepaji, a lot of times what happens is I have tried to do it, okay, and the results are good. But you feel, for me also every day is not good. You know, why do people come venting out at me? You know, because as this chapter says, you know, you should stay happy. Normally, even if something happens in 5 minutes, I'm normal. Matlab, I'm quite cheerful. Those things are there. But then you feel, yeah, because of this, you know, people, you know, feel that, ha, she is a very easy target. So,
yeah,
lot
maybe
of,
that is true, Shruti. Maybe you're an easy target. Maybe that is very true. Maybe the flip side of it is people are comfortable venting it out to you. They are in discomfort with others. So, being a people person, being a friendly, happy person, so people get into that comfort zone, which crosses the limit, maybe.
yeah,
And so you flip it and see, with whom
sure,
do we
sure.
get angry? With whom do we show our real emotions, especially the negative emotion? Think about it.
The people who are
We do
close
it,
to us, yeah,
yes, yes. Isn't it? With our mom, we do it more, right? With our
yeah.
siblings, with our cousin, with our best friend, we do it because we know that they'll forgive us and they'll let go once that outburst is done with. So maybe you're that for many people. What I do usually, I've seen people doing it, so I try to do that. What I do is I stop the eye contact. I turn my face. I use my body language, non-verbal communication to show that I don't like what you're talking about, what you're doing. I'm not happy with that. So I straighten my shoulder, not turn away, pretend as if I'm listening to something else, I'm busy with something else, or I have to check my mobile phone or something. That Second, we break that contract, that contact and that connection which they have with us, which they feel that they can pound on us, punch us with their words, with their emotions. That punching actually stops. They break the connection. So somewhere till then, maybe we were smiling, maybe we straighten up our face, give a stare, and turn away. So those are again another way of disconnecting. And whenever we feel that negative energy is going to start, we can actually, our seventh sense, will alert us that this person is going to pound on me, punch on me, use me as a punching bag on something. We break that contact and we step away from that. So that is another thing which I try to do. So because I listen to many people, people just call me just to shout, so I just listen if it's a phone call. And at some point I say, I can't take this, maybe you have to come back to me after 5-10 minutes. Or if they are just fighting with me, I just say that, maybe disagreeable for you, but that is how I saw it. I did it this way. Let's think about it after some pause. I make sure that they also understand the concept of pause. 5-10 minutes, let's take a break. And if it is still important, we'll get back to it. So,
That's
yeah,
a
it
wonderful
requires
way
patience.
to.
Yeah, it requires a lot of patience to redirect that negative energy. And here the writer also says that, her own husband is having the liver cirrhosis sort of a diagnosis, hepatitis C. So it doesn't mean that she has to be depressed all the time. Our circumstances might be bad. It doesn't mean that we have to be, suffering along with that person. Even if it is our own loved one, her sister is diagnosed with diabetes. So immediately, it hits us hard and we go rock bottom in our emotions and we feel very sad. But that doesn't help. The best way to overcome the hardship our family and friends are going is to stay happy, to stay positive, and not get into that bottomless place of pity and crying and sorrow and depression. We shouldn't do that. Whenever someone around us is feeling bad, whether it is emotional or ill health or whatever, we should be bouncy at that time. We should uplift ourselves. That is also very important. That I have done it multiple times in my life. It is draining, it is frustrating, it is irritating, and we want to cry, we want to shout, but we have to hold it. Take that pause to condition ourselves to hold it, and maybe let it out later at some other way. And maybe the vent out is actually not required because you're preoccupied with many other activities in our life. So as you said, no, you're a working professional full time and you're doing kathak. So that itself, allows you to recondition your emotions and feelings, and to stay focused. So I always advise everyone, don't feel that I don't have time for something. Make time. Time is always there. Try to indulge in, the more busier you are, the more busier you have to make yourself by including one more activity in your life. Whether you succeed in it, whether you're getting the optimum out of it, is another thing. But stay focused, stay in that flow is being completely focused, enjoying that state. Just be in that, the results will come on its own. And that is one of the secrets of happiness. So that practice, requires lot of effort, repetition, and we can get there sometime. So that is what I felt. Anyone else has any shares today, or we can wind up?
Deepa, I want to connect a little spiritual aspect to this. See, what happen is, sometime in a family, we as a son or as a father, we do everything what we are what one individually are supposed to do, but the other person is doing in its own way, right? And we are not very, very happy about it, or let's say sad about it. But the point is, when we connect to that spiritual point, that everybody has his own karma of life from his own spiritual point of view. And the only one the person evolves is through easy and hard way, right? So sometime to our kids we say we do everything what we need to do, but the child do its own way, and some things are not desirable, right? So then we have to just let it go. That yes, this is his own karma of life, and he will only learn through both the easy and the hard way. And we have to after doing our best, we have to just let it go. But otherwise, what happens is, it happens in every different professional, personal, and other areas of life. Because if we don't let it go, we are hurting ourselves in knowingly and unknowingly. So after doing your best, you have to just say that you have to just think and that everybody has his own karma of life, and this is how he's supposed to be, what he is now. We can only do our best from our side, but beyond a point we have to just let it go, because that's how only that you can be peaceful at heart, right? So it's just like you can't stretch something beyond a limit, right? Everything should have a limit. So after that you have to let it go and leave it to its own karma, what I feel. Yeah, thank you. Hello, can you hear me? I don't hear anything.
Maniji, I can hear you.
Okay, okay, so did I
I'm
add
sorry.
any
I'm sorry.
value?
Yeah. Now am I audible?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Manish ji. That was a wonderful share.
yeah, yeah.
I just wanted to tell you just one thing, and then maybe we can wind up. Just a couple of minutes. I have had my share of emotional outbursts. There is no excuse for it, but we can maybe give a reason. The reason doesn't justify it, but what Shruti said, why me? Why are they doing this to me? Why always me? Why it sounds injustice and very bad. As I said, I've had my share of ugly outbursts, lot of it. And the kind of things you see on the people's face, your kith and kin, loved ones, and your family and friends, how she's shouting, how she's behaving. My God, these people don't realize that they triggered it, they started it. When we have been successful in our work with other relationships, why this is happening only with this person, only in this way? So they don't think that it is for us to analyze. It is for us to analyze that they are incapable of seeing our perspective, our point of view. They only see that outburst which we have had. They are not able to understand. They don't feel that they triggered it, they caused it. They have been a big, huge influence on this, and they have blocked their understanding. So that is where our understanding begins, and where we have to um, be okay with ourselves. That, I think, that is where the self love starts. What you have done, what I have done, what anyone has done is right in that perspective, and it is fine. There is no need for us to uh, feel upset and angry about it with our own self. Just we have to take the pause, understand the situation, and as Manish ji said, we have to let go that thing. And maybe we try to process this thing before such a situation arises again. So maybe we have to, as Shruti also said, we have to draw the boundaries. Maybe avoid being in such a situation, being in that person's company again, so that the that emotion doesn't arise either from us or from them. So we draw the boundaries and keep away from that, whoever it may be, whoever it may be. If such a negative, draining out emotions are coming out, it is better to let go and just uh, be in our own happiness zone. And we have to process it in such a way that their pain, their thing, we are not responsible. Likewise, our pain also should not come from them. we have to draw the blocks, we have to build the walls. So that has been easy to say, again requires a lot of practice, and we have to be in that pause. That pause we forget before the outburst starts from either side. That pause we forget, we have to work on it. So I guess that is what the spiritual leaders have practiced, whether it be Gautam Buddha or Mother Teresa, or any monk, or Teresa, whoever. Here the writer has talked about the beautification, canonization of a saint. So how she went through a lot of suffering, and she could actually smile and be soothing to someone who was in pain. So the pause is very important. That is what, it's very difficult, but meditation helps, I guess. It helps us to process this thought. So I think we are running out of time today.
Yeah, and
So
just
if
last thing,
everyone, yeah,
yeah,
if
I
every, yeah, yeah, soon, Manish ji.
what happen is, sometime life will only make you better in a hard way. So we have to just take everything in a very positive perspective. Because you see, if you have
Mm,
to be surrounded by people, and you have to be a leader, you have to be leader of a company or a group. See, you have to go through these challenges. You just accept as a part of life and be happy about it. Right? This is how you grow. This is how you evolve yourself as a person. So just always tell yourself that I am unstoppable. I am over. I'm better than my circumstances. Just use those affirmations on a daily basis, and I think it will do a lot better. What I feel, yeah.
Those are amazing words, Manish ji. Thank you so much.
See, on a conscious level, every human is above his circumstances, and if you can practice that every day, I can guarantee you it will make a big difference to everybody.
Sure, Manish ji. I'll give it a try. Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah,
Thank
thank
you.
you. So, yeah, so that was a good share today. Thank you. And next month, we'll be coming back for the September reading. Please join us. And whatever you have feelings about the chapters we have read so far, you can put a voice note or write a message in the group. Okay, as we have a separate happiness project group, you can write there, or in the common group also you can post it. So thank you for attending the
Deepaji,
August session.
sorry,
I look forward for the September session now. Thank you.
Deepaji, one last thing. See, what I feel
Yeah.
is, when you say that, you just feel you are above your circumstances, I'm unstoppable, I'm very lucky. Just write these things on your vision board, in your
Mm,
home office, or in your desk, anything, on the mirror, in your bedroom, where you can see them more often. I think these affirmation, they make a big impact on your conscious mind and the
mm,
subconscious mind. So
mm.
just use these powerful words like, I'm above my circumstances, I'm unstoppable, things like that. So that will, keep you in high spirits. And I think that makes a
Yes,
difference.
yes, very true. Very true.
I
Yeah.
will do this
Yeah,
today
right.
only, Manish ji. Yeah. Thank
Oh,
you so much.
Yeah, and I'm sure you'll feel a lot better every day.
yeah.
Sure.
That
I'll
is the
I'll let you know.
reason.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Yeah, that's the reason why Mansi insists on the shares. When we share it, we come up with such excellent, help for one another. Shares are beautiful. Thank you. So I'll just take the notes, and then we'll be done for the day. Thank you for attending. I look forward
Everyone.
for the September reading.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Have a wonderful day.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Awesome.
Manish
Yeah,
ji. Thanks,
yeah,
Deepak.
yeah. Bye, everyone.
Thank,
Have a great day.
thank
Make your
you.
day
Thank you.
wonderful. Bye. Bye, Suman. Thank you.